Hello 105, my name is Brittany Teacher and today is Friday, March 20th, 2020. I'm here today to do your Storytown lesson with you. Today we are going to read in our student books, pages 224 to 230. We're also going to answer some comprehension questions at the end of the story. So please get a notebook or a piece of paper so that you can have something to write on when we are finished reading. Also, at the end, we are going to do some workbook questions on page 24 in your workbook. Let's go ahead and start by reading the story, No Helmet, Pay Up. As you can see, this is a magazine article. Usually when something is a magazine article like this one, it's giving us help or advice about a real life problem. So the story that we read before was about Gus learning how to ride a bike. It was called realistic fiction. That means that even though the story was made up, it could have happened in real life. So it didn't actually happen. There's probably not really a boy named Gus who did exactly everything that happened in this story in exactly this way. But you could imagine that there's a lot of people like Gus who learn how to ride a bike and who have many of the same experiences that Gus did. So this is fiction. This is not fiction, okay? This is a real magazine article about real help and advice using helmets, okay? So that's how these two stories are different from each other. Okay, let's read. No helmet, pay up. Follow along with me and then read the story by yourself when I'm finished. Stop! Get off that bike. Children in Florida who ride a bike without wearing a helmet might hear those words from the police. They might have to pay a fine for breaking the law. In Florida, the law applies to all children under 16. Why is Florida getting so tough on riders who don't wear helmets? Think of the last time you fell off your bike. Did you cut your knee? Did you hit your head? Lots of children fall off bicycles every year, and many hurt their heads badly. Unlike a cut, hitting your head can cause problems that last for your whole life. Let's go ahead and underline that sentence. Unlike a cut, hitting your head can cause problems that last your whole life. Did you underline that sentence? Okay, let's keep reading. Next page. Helmets help. The National Safe Kids campaign says that bike helmets lower the chances of a head injury by 85%. Simon Kreider, 11, knows how important a helmet can be. When he was riding his bike in Gainesville, Florida, he hit a rock and flew over the front of his bike. His head hit the road and his helmet cracked. Luckily, it was his helmet that broke, not his head. Still, a lot of boys and girls do not want to wear helmets. Mike Wilson, a bike safety leader in Florida, says, some children just don't think helmets are cool. Not Simon. He thinks his helmet is plenty cool. A helmet saved my life, he said. Sometimes it messes up your hair, but it's worth it. And as you can see, here is a chart of all the states with helmet laws. Here's the United States. This is where I'm from, Florida. You can see here there's red, blue, or green, blue, and red squares. Those colors mean that there's a helmet law in the state, that there's a helmet law in some counties. That means not everywhere in the state. And red means no helmet laws. That means you can ride a bike without a helmet in these states, but they're very unsafe. These red states are very unsafe. Okay, good. Now that we're finished reading, let's go ahead and answer some questions on page 230, connections, comparing texts. Number 1, should Gus read No Helmet, Pay Up? why. Okay, this is your opinion, but again, you need to make an opinion based on the story and the information you got from the story, right? So, number one, you need to say, yes, Gus should read this story because blah, 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 blah. Yes, Gus should read this story because blah, 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 blah. And give me your own opinion right here. But you need to use the story to help you. Maybe you should say why helmets are important, or if you think Gus needs to wear a helmet and why, okay? Gus learned to ride a bike in the story. He needs to learn how to wear a helmet too. Number two, Gus wanted to learn how to ride a bike. What do you want to learn how to do? Again, this is your own opinion. Lots of us want to try and learn new things all the time. That's good. The only important thing is that you use the proper grammar when you're answering this question. So you need to begin your sentence by saying, I want to learn blah, 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 blah. I want to learn, and maybe you need how to. For example, I want to learn how to ride a bike. We wouldn't say, I want to learn ride a bike. I want to learn how to ride a bike. I want to learn how to blah, 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 blah. Tell me one thing you want to learn how to do. Number three, why is knowing how to ride a bike useful? Useful means helpful, something that's good for your day-to-day life. Does it make your day-to-day life fun, easier, better in some way? Maybe you don't ride a bike. That's okay. But could you imagine what riding a bike every day would be like? Could you imagine how helpful or useful it might be? Use your imagination and think about what Gus's life will be like now that he can ride a bike whenever he wants. What kinds of things will he do now that he can ride a bike? Okay? So we're going to begin this sentence by saying, knowing how to ride a bike is useful because, okay? Knowing how to ride a bike is useful because blah, 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 blah. Useful means helps you with your day-to-day life, okay? For example, cars are useful because it helps us drive to the grocery store. Subways are useful because we can go very far distances for not a lot of money and we don't have to drive in traffic. Buses are useful because we can get from one place to another place very quickly without having to drive, okay? So think like this. How does a bike help you? Again, if you don't have a bike, that's okay. Try to imagine what it will be like for Gus and pretend that you know how to ride a bike, okay? All right, we are finished with our student book. That's good. Go ahead and open your workbook to page 24, comprehension. What is the article about and what do you predict? This how do you predict is not right. Okay, so if you just look at the title, No Helmet Pay Up, what do you think that article is about? So this is about the article No Helmet Pay Up. So I'm going to use the title and my own experience from real life, and I'm going to predict that this article is about paying a fee if you don't wear a helmet. Okay? This article is about paying a fee if you don't have a helmet. Okay, number 2, why is it important to wear a helmet when riding a bike? We underlined that already on page 227. Do you remember when I asked you to underline? That was your answer. Number 3 is no helmet, pay up, about real or make-believe things. I already answered that question at the beginning of the lesson. Do you remember when we talked about what it means to look at the genre at the top? Magazine article. So the story about Gus is realistic fiction. Fiction means not true. Okay, the story about Gus, fiction, not true, this story. But this story in a magazine is about true things. Remember? Okay, so that should help you with your workbook. After you are finished with your workbook, you are done for the day. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.